Sometimes kids are just so wired from their day that they need some help winding down at night. But have you ever tried to tell your 3 or 4-year-old, like, hey, buddy, just slow down. Let's just take some deep breaths together? They just laugh at you. Like, that's never going to work. That's super boring. But we know that taking deep breaths can actually be really good for us. So let me show you some really fun and easy ways that you can teach your child to do on their own or even do with them that's going to help to regulate their nervous system and get them nice and calm for a night of great sleep. Now, when your child is having a meltdown or experiencing like a really big emotion, in that moment, they're being controlled by their lower primitive brain. I've often heard it referred to as their reptilian brain because it's the part of the brain that controls our fight or flight responses, and it's really where our anger and fear comes from. And when kids are in this heightened state, blood flow is actually restricted to their upper, more evolved part of the brain. And the upper part of the brain is responsible for understanding and making decisions and controlling one's body. And none of that is available to your kid when they're mid-meltdown. In fact, this upper part of the brain isn't even fully developed until we're in our mid-20s. So whatever little executive functioning skills your 3 or 4-year-old might have are totally cut off in these high emotion moments. So your kid in these moments is being 100% guided by raw, primitive emotion with no ability for you to reason with them or talk them out of their emotions. Now, this is all pretty obvious in the moment, right? Like, I'm not telling you anything that you haven't actually experienced before, but I'm just trying to give you some real basic science behind what's going on in your kid's brain, because sometimes that lower primitive part of the brain just needs to calm down. So the tools I'm going to give you today are going to help to regulate your child's nervous system. Now, you've probably heard that taking deep breaths is really good for you. It's really grounding, which it is. But if you've ever told your kid to calm down and take some deep breaths, it's probably not very well received. I mean, kids don't want to slow down, and they don't want to do something boring like breathing. So I'm going to teach you some fun breathing techniques that are not going to feel boring at all. So you can use some of these in your last couple minutes of the bedtime routine or even earlier in the evening. I mean, heck, you can use these any time of day, actually. Specifically, it'd be great after your kid has a meltdown or has a big emotion and the emotions kind of subsided, just to kind of help really regulate them and bring them back down and get them calm. Breathing is one of the most powerful and easiest to access tools for helping to regulate our emotions. It's free and it's often overlooked, but it really is directly related to our nervous system and our heart and our lungs and our blood flow. So let's make breathing a little more fun. I'll describe these techniques from easiest down to more difficult. So if, depending on the age of your child, you can find one that works for them. And some of these are going to be silly and some are a little more straightforward. So I really hope that you find one that you want to try with your kids. And doing them with your eyes closed is even more powerful. All right, the first one is really easy. So it's called nose-mouth breathing. It's very simple. This is great with younger kids because the goal is really just to get your kid to pay attention to their breathing, almost like a healthy distraction. So all this one is you're going to breathe in through your nose and then you're going to exhale through your mouth. And to demonstrate this for your child, you can even kind of sigh or make an audible exhale so they really understand what you're asking them to do. So I'll give you an example. So you breathe in through the nose and then just sigh out the mouth. It's as simple as that. Like I said, a healthy distraction from whatever chaos might be going on around them or in their little brains. The second one is called lion's breath. Now it's kind of similar to the last one, but more exaggerated and way more silly. So depending on your kid's mood, this can work really well. So with this one, you breathe in through your nose, and then when you exhale through your mouth, you do it more loudly, and you can even stick out your tongue or shake your head. Let me show you. So if this one feels like it might get your kid kind of like excited rather than calm, then what you can do is you can start with that big exaggerated lion's breath that I just showed you, and then kind of over the course of a few breaths, start to slow it down. So maybe the second breath, you stop the head shaking. Maybe the third breath, you stop sticking the tongue out. So it's almost like the lion is getting sleepy as you kind of calm that breath down. The third one is called Bumblebee breath. So while we're talking about animals, this is Bumblebee breath. So with this one, you're gonna have your kid plug their ears and then do the same thing. Breathe in through the nose and then exhale through the mouth while they have their ears plugged, and they're gonna make a humming noise when they exhale. So this is just another way for your kid to kind of pay attention to their breathing, feel it, or in this case, even hear it. So you kind of have to try this for yourself to understand what I'm talking about, but I'll show it to you. So you breathe in through the nose and then hum when you exhale. And you can really hear it very loudly in your head. So it's just another way to get your kids to pay attention to their breath. The fourth one is called full body breathing. And this is great for kids who are really into counting. Also great for parents, great for moms and dads. But this is really simple. So this is where you have your kid inhale for the count of 3 and imagine that that air is traveling all the way down their body, all the way to their toes. And then when they exhale, they're going to count to 4. And same thing, they imagine the air coming all the way back up and out their mouth. So it's very simple. You just breathe in for a count of 3, exhale for a count of 4, and then it's got the added visualization of how the air is traveling through your body. And so it does take a little bit of time. So again, this is really works to kind of regulate your kid's nervous system. So you just breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and then out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last one I have for you is a little more complicated. It's called alternate nostril breathing. So in this one, you're going to be inhaling and exhaling both through your nose, but you're going to push down one nostril as you inhale and then switch and hold the other nostril as you exhale. So I'll show you. It's pretty self-explanatory, but so it just draws attention to your breath. It gives your child something to do, something to think about rather than whatever might be upsetting them, or it just helps to, again, regulate their nervous system. This is good for older kids and it's really good for parents too. Let me know how it goes with your kiddo as you start making breathing fun and start to really use breath as such a great and powerful tool for helping to calm your kiddos down. If you want to learn more about creating a great bedtime routine, check out this video.